What is going on, guys? SageArtz here. So with the next half of Jujutsu Kaisen's first season approaching ever so soon, I thought I would make this video explaining all of the abilities and everything you need to know about the members of the Kyoto Jujutsu school. In my last Jujutsu Kaisen video, I basically broke down and gave you an idea of what to expect with this next upcoming arc, which is the Kyoto Goodwill event. This arc is personally one of my favourites in the series, so I'm really looking forward to its release next week. And since within the first half of the season, we got to meet two of the students from the Kyoto side, being Aoi, Todo and Maizenin, I thought it would just make sense to make a video on all the Kyoto members before the arc starts. However, before we get into the video, if you've been enjoying the Jujutsu Kaisen content on the channel, or if this is your first time ever seeing one of my Jujutsu Kaisen videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications so you don't miss out on any more videos in the future. And also follow me on Twitter at SageArtz_ so you can keep up with me outside of YouTube. I've been absolutely loving Jujutsu Kaisen so far, from its anime to its manga, so I definitely want to be pushing out more content on it since I really enjoy talking about it. And also, this video will contain manga spoilers for the Jujutsu Kaisen manga, however only concerning the Kyoto students. But that's enough rambling from me, let's get right into the video. So with the Kyoto Goodwill event arc starting, we will be introduced to the Jujutsu sorcerers who study at the Kyoto Jujutsu School, which is one of the two Jujutsu schools in Japan. The first person I'll be talking about here is a character we first meet in episode 8 of the anime and chapter 18 of the manga, Miwa Kasumi. Miwa Kasumi is a second year student at Kyoto Metropolitan School for Jujutsu, and she is also a grade 3 sorcerer. Kasumi's battle style revolves around using a katana, and she is a fairly capable swordswoman. She uses the new style shadow technique, which allows her, after forming her stance, to create a curse technique barrier which goes the length of 2.21 meters around her. After forming this barrier or simple domain, which isn't a domain expansion for those of you wondering, she is able to immediately attack anything that enters her space, and it's sort of like Nobunaga's end for those of you who have watched Hunter x Hunter. However, once she breaks her stance, her new shadow style simple domain dissipates. And she also has another technique called battle sword drawing, which she uses after forming her new shadow style simple domain to execute an EI sword drawing technique while rotating. This move is also the fastest of her new shadow style techniques. Also, simple domains are known as domains for the weak, which allows the users to counter all curse techniques within a finite space if anyone needed further elaboration on that part. Next we have another second year Maizenin. Mai is also a student at the Kyoto School for Jujutsu, and she is a grade 3 sorcerer. Not to mention she is also the younger twin sister of Maki Zenin. Mai, as her surname suggests, is part of the Zenin family, which is one of the grade 3 families in Jujutsu Kaisen, which produce the most elite sorcerers. Mai's main form of attack is using a pistol of rubber bullets, and by infusing her cursed energy to shoot, the bullets are reinforced and they end up packing quite a punch. And since she uses a pistol as her main form of attack, she also has insane accuracy. Unfortunately, despite being born into the Zenin family, Mai has very low cursed energy in comparison to the average sorcerer, so she was not able to obtain the inherited technique of her clan. In regards to her actual technique, she has a move called Construction, which requires her to use a fair amount of cursed energy, but as the name Construction suggests, she is able to create something out of nothing. However, the only instance we have seen her using her Construction technique was to create an extra reinforced bullet, and by using Construction she causes physical repercussions on her body. Next up we have the last second year student for the Kyoto students, Kokichi Muta, who is also known as Mekamaru. Before going into what he can do and his abilities, I thought it'd be wise to explain the unique situation of Kokichi, which is his heavenly restriction. So heavenly restriction in Jujutsu Kaisen is basically a binding placed on a sorcerer at birth, which limits their ability in one area for them to exceed in another. And this is just something that either happens to you or not. There's no factor of consent, you're just born like that. Kokichi's heavenly restriction is extreme, to the point he was born without his right arm and lower parts of his leg. Furthermore, he can't go outside because his body cannot handle sunlight or moonlight, as it causes him chronic pain and sunburn, which is pretty sad if you ask me. However, in exchange for all of this, Kokichi has an insane pool of cursed energy that can spread across the whole of Japan, and he is able to control a variety of puppets with his cursed energy. This is how he experiences the outside world and fights, since he can't do so with his physical body. Furthermore, he is also a semi-grade 1 sorcerer, which I forgot to mention earlier. But besides from his heavenly restriction, Kokichi's ability range from his puppet manipulation, which allows him to manipulate puppets from a remote location, his ultimate Mekamaru, which is a puppet he uses on a daily basis for normal means and exorcism. We then have his sword option, where multiple blades come out of Mekamaru and forces his nails to extend with the addition of spikes on his forearm. Next up is his ultra spin, where he spins his right arm at the opponent and despite how simple it seems, this move has enough force to pierce a tree. We then have his Ultra Shield move, which as the name suggests is a shield, which he initiates by putting up his forearm, allowing him to block attacks. Then we have his Boost On technique, which releases cursed energy from his elbow, allowing for acceleration with his attacks. His next move is his Ultra Cannon, which is a cursed energy blast which comes from the palm of his hand. And then we have his mode Albatross, in which he produces a cannon from his mouth. And then his ultimate cannon, which is a blast filled with cursed energy that comes from his hands and mouth. We then have his ultimate Mecha Maru mode Absolute, which is a large puppet that is controlled via a pilot and attacks with previously stored cursed energy. The next ability is his Ultra Cannon again, however this one uses 1 year worth of cursed energy that Mecha Maru has stored. Then we have his Miracle Cannon, which is a blast on both of the Mecha Maru hands and uses 2 years worth of cursed energy stored by Mecha Maru. And last but not least, we have his Vision Viola, which is a move which is executed by Mecha Maru by creating 5 orbs made of cursed energy. This technique uses 5 years worth of stored cursed energy, and it also tracks its target until it makes contact with something. But with that being said, now let's move on to the 3rd year students at the Kyoto Jujutsu School. First up we have Momo Nishimiya, who is a semi-grade 2 sorcerer. And unlike Mecha Maru, there's not too much to go over about Momo, but in regards to her abilities, Momo uses a broom that she is able to manipulate through using her curse technique. Through this method, she is able to fly on her broom, pretty much like a witch, levitate her broom and control it, regardless of whether she's in direct contact with it or not, and she can also use the broom to strike her opponents and create gusts of wind. Momo's main forte in battle is gathering information due to her ability to fly and levitate, since it's hard for her enemies to actually hit her. Next up we have the 3rd year student Noritoshi Kamo, and like mine, Noritoshi is from one of the 3 great sorcerer families, his being the Kamo clan. He is also a semi-grade 1 sorcerer and is able to use the inherited technique of the Kamo family, which is blood manipulation. Blood manipulation gives Noritoshi the ability to have 100% control of his blood. Through the blood manipulation technique, he can do things like controlling and manipulating anything that comes into contact with his blood. He can use his blood to form projectiles, and he can even increase his pulse rate and the amount of red blood cells he has to give a similar effect to doping. So there's basically endless possibilities with his blood manipulation technique. His main form of weaponry is a bow and arrow, and by coating the tips of the arrow in his blood, he is able to control the direction in which the arrows go. In regards to his actual moves, first up we have his flowing red scale, which through manipulating his blood, he can drastically increase his physical capabilities. Next we have his crimson binding, which is a net formed out of blood to capture enemies. Then we have his move slicing exorcism, which is a bladed projectile made from rotating his blood at a high speed. And then we have convergence, which is a technique he uses to condense his blood into a compact ball. And finally we have piercing blood, which is a beam of blood fired by Noritoshi, which can go through flesh. Now last but not least we have the final 3rd year, who is also a grade 1 sorcerer, brother Todo. Todo. Todo is the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer on the Kyoto side, and his main form of fighting is hand-to-hand combat, although he is also able to use cursed tools should the situation arise for him to do so. Todo's physical strength and speed is absolutely insane, as we saw he was easily able to beat down Fushiguro before the Kyoto Goodwill event without even using his cursed energy or cursed technique. Furthermore, while adding his cursed energy to his raw power and martial arts, Todo's destructive power can increase immensely. It was also rumoured that Todo was able to single-handedly defeat 5 grade 1 curses and a special grade without using his curse technique. However, what really happened was that he was able to defeat 5 grade 1 curses without using his curse technique, but to defeat the special grade, he ended up using his curse technique, which is still an absolutely insane feat. Todo's curse technique is called Boogie Woogie, and by clapping his hands, he is able to interchange positions of anything that possesses curse energy within his area. He also doesn't have to change his position, he can change 2 other people's positions as well, and the clapping prerequisite to activate the technique can be done by clapping his hand with another person's. Another technique that we have seen Todo use is the binding vow of showing one's cards, which is regularly used by Jujutsu sorcerers. Through the means of revealing how one's curse technique works to their enemy, the user can increase its effectiveness. The next technique we've also seen Todo use is the simple domain technique, which I explained earlier dispels and counters any curse energy within a set space, so it's a pretty useful technique. And last but not least, with Todo's high level of curse energy and understanding of how it works and flows, he can also use the black flash technique, which is a technique that when connecting with a physical hit and impacting your opponent with curse energy 0.00001 seconds later, creates a spatial distortion and causes the curse energy to flash black, hence why the name is called Black Flash. Furthermore, when Black Flash is executed, the attack gains a damage multiplier of 2.5 times, making it a very powerful technique. And while that brings me to the end of the abilities of the Kyoto students and what you need to know about them, it's only fair to at least name drop the main teacher of the Kyoto faculty, Utsuhime Iori, who is also a semi-grade 1 sorcerer, and the principal, who is Yoshinobu Gakuganji. But with that being said, that brings us to the end of the video. So if you did enjoy the video and want to see more Jujutsu Kaisen content on the channel, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss when I upload. And if you have any recommendations for Jujutsu Kaisen videos, make sure to comment them down below or on my Discord or Twitter. The links for those are down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.